Hi, my name is Megan Freen, and today I will be talking about the issue of United States news sources reporting political bias information. Robert Barrow, he is an economics professor at Harvard University, and he did a study in 2004, and it studied all the news sources within the United States, national news sources that is, and he created a chart, and the chart was consisted of numbers, and it assigned a number to each news source. And for whatever reason, the number 39 was considered the centrist position or the neutral position. And what he found is that Fox News, which is the conservative news source within the United States, was 12 above the centrist position of 39. And CNN, which is a major liberal news source, was 10 points to the liberal side. So now that you know what I'm going to be speaking on today, I'm going to move on to my first point, and I'm going to present you with some information. There was a study done by Pew Research Center in 2016, and it stated that 61% of Americans received and believed all of their political information from United States news sources. So with the issue of biased information being reported by news sources, this is a major deal because it affects over half of the population. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 techniques that the news sources within the United States use to promote their agenda over the air. So the first way that they do that is by the omission of information, and that is just not reporting the facts at all. L. Broswell wrote an article in 2012, and it was about the omission of information in our news sources. And he talked about something that happened in 2012, and that is that the Catholic churches filed a lawsuit against the Obama administration for his narrow mind of what a religious institution is according to Obamacare. And of course, I'm sure you haven't heard of it either. I did a poll while I was at work, and none of my peers or my bosses had heard of this issue. And this could have been a major headliner in 2012. And the news sources simply just didn't report it. And so with that and the omission of information happening all the time, Americans need to be aware, and they need to be well read on what's happening politically, and maybe even get some sources from international news stations about what's going on within the United States. So let me move on to my second point, and I'm going to give you another way that United States news sources promote their agenda, and that is by spinning the story so that it fits their propaganda or their stance on whatever's going on politically. Good Morning America recently did a segment, and it included Tony Swart, and he is the co-author of Donald Trump's book about basically his life and his life within the business realm and how he was successful. And Tony came out and said that he wrote all of it and that Donald Trump wrote nothing in the book. And this just happened to conveniently be during an important time of the campaign process for Donald Trump. And so people slammed Donald Trump for this. And but the problem is yes, Donald Trump didn't write the majority of the book, but just like other famous people who are having biographies and autobiographies written about them, they're not the ones writing it. They're not famous for being writers, so they hire writers to do that. But the Good Morning America and other news sources failed to mention this, and so it made Donald Trump look like a complete liar. And that's just an example. It happens every day, both on the conservative side and the liberal side. So my last point today, and one more way that news sources within the United States promote their own agenda is by the selection of sources. Anytime you're watching the news, whether it be national or local, people will say, we're bringing in a political expert, or experts say, and that is a sure sign that they are drawing from specific sources, which isn't a bad thing unless it's a source that the news station sides with. And Fox News recently did an interview, and this was on June 29th of 2016, so fairly recently, and they brought in a political expert and their contributor, which is Monica Crowley, and she reported on Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and their reaction after the conventions, both RNC and DNC, and it had a very conservative feel to it. And that's just a small example of how they pull sources that side with what the news station agrees with. So I've just given you a small example of how news sources within the United States promote their own agendas and report biased information. And those three examples were the omission of information, the biased spinning of stories, and the selection of sources. So I hope I was able to provide you with some very informative and factual information about the issue of biased political news sources happening within the United States. And that's it. Thank you.